session will have a clear idea as to what is that you have to do to ensure that you do well in the whole process. I must also say this that congratulations to clearing the first round. The fight has just started. To help me with the whole process, I have four alumni of NMIMS. So let me first introduce them. The three of them, whom you can see on the screen, are with me. Tom Jones, the batch, NMIMS batch of 2011. He was working with KPMG as management consultant, and then the entrepreneurial bug hit him, and then he is now an entrepreneur. He is currently the NMIMS alumni committee member. I have also Aditya. Aditya is a batch of 2012, so he passed out last year. He's currently working with HDFC Bank, and while at campus he was the operations head in the NMIMS Student Council. Then we have Ekta. Ekta is NMIMS batch of 2013. She is currently the cultural secretary at NMIMS, and she will be completing graduation in 3 months. Yeah. And I'm also joined by Ankur Agarwal. He is the first year. He's currently the first year of NMIMS, and he's logged in from Delhi. So as and when, so basically, this is what we're going to do. We'll go through each process, and you will hear a lot from all these panelists about the GD and the PI process. So in case you have any questions, you can keep shooting them in the Q&A box that you can see on your screen, and we'll keep taking these questions. Is that all right? So can we start, guys? Can I get a feedback, please? Okay, fantastic. So the agenda is the second stage of selection process, group discussion and personal interview. Okay, quickly about the group discussion. So what I'll do is I'll first give the mic to Tom. He'll share with you what is his process. What was this process at this time, and then we'll take it up from there. Yeah, Tom.
Hi everyone. During my time in 2009, when I appeared for GD, we had around 10 participants for the GD, and to be really frank, it was a pleasant discussion. It was not at all a fish market. You have the professors involved. 2 or 3 of the panelists will be there in your classrooms when the GDs are conducted, and they would not be directly involved in any part of the GD. They'll be observing you, and you may find a few of them taking down notes at various points during your discussion. So I think the trend has remained the same over the years. I'll pass it on to Aditya, and he'll explain to you what happened in 2010.
Hi, good evening everyone. First of all, congratulations, good show, and all the very best to you going ahead. So more or less what Tom shared, the same was the process at my end as well. So there were 12, I think 8, as far as I remember, there were 8 candidates over there. The panelists were, they never, engaged themselves except the start. One thing was they gave us an option of choosing a GD topic as well if we can decide among ourselves. I feel that can be a good opportunity for you as well to jump in and show some leadership skills from your end. If not, then in our side, no one was actually very much interested in showing their topic. So, what is the question? Okay. So, and then the discussion went on for close to 20-25 minutes, and that's about it. So, yeah, the process remained the same. Now, I'll hand over the mic to Ekta if she has to share anything else on that.
Hi everyone. My GD was conducted 2 years back. Yes, the panelists were just observing and not intruding or interrupting. The topic was given to us, and pleasantness or unpleasantness depends on how comfortable you are with the topic. Since my subject was on Facebook, and people are very much aware and too much on it, so it was kind of fish market. But a few things to keep in mind that it really doesn't help to jump and initiate a discussion. You just have to be assertive and, to at least 2 or 3 times just speak relevant points and then maybe you're through.
Okay, thanks. There are some questions that are coming, which is, in this year, do we have a case-based discussion? Yes. Yes, this year it will be a case study-based discussion. So that is one deviation from last year. So you will have to ensure that you analyze the case very well, so that you go through the entire process of case discussions. That's one thing. So I'll also give the rights now to Ankur, and he is currently in Delhi. So we'll just share the experiences, and then we'll take on what is that I need to do in a group discussion in NMIMS to do well. So yes.
Hello.
Yeah, Ankur.
Yeah, hi everyone. Congratulations. Last year I appeared in the GD of NMIMS. So it was a complete case-based discussion. So it's a small caselet, just a half-a-page caselet, and so you need to be prepared with cases. And as Ekta mentioned that you need not jump in and you need not create a fish market. It's just that you need to maintain your calm and composure. Hello. Hello.
Yeah. You're audible. You can carry on, of course.
Yeah, so I believe this year as well we are expecting a case-based discussion. And as Tom has mentioned, that there are 3 faculty members and they will be judging you throughout the discussion. So you need to bring out relevant points.
Okay, fantastic. There's a question, there are a couple of questions that we'll take. One question that is asked is, will the case study be a verbal discussion and not a writing exercise? So, Ekta,
to answer this, it can be a combination of both or just a verbal discussion, because sometimes panelists give you 5-10 minutes to think about the case and the answers to the questions given beneath the case, and they also take back the papers and to see what you've written, what answers you've written. So it can be a combination of both.
Yeah, fantastic. And then one more question which I'll take now. So what is the kind of case did you get? Ankur, what is the case study? Can you just share what case study you got? That is okay.
Yeah. There were 2 students. Actually, it was a real-time case study from NMIMS itself. So there were 2 students, and there was a boy and a girl, and they were found cheating in an examination, and they were expelled from the college. But because of their request from their parents, they were allowed to continue college, but they were given a year back. So they were asked to do internships in their respective cities. And hello.
Yeah, please carry on. Yes.
Yeah. So when they went for internship, so the girl was very focused on her internship and the boy wasn't. And on the contrary, during the initial trimester of their grades were opposite. Like girl wasn't so sincere earlier and boy was sincere. So when they come back to the college, now it's like they are in the first year again, and now they are studying for their summer internship. So girl has got, even though they have got a year back, but girl has learned a lot in the internship, and boy does not have any such idea of the internship because he has kind of enjoyed his 1 year. So they are now in a fix how do they put themselves into the interview in summer internship. So that was an entire case.
So about the book, can you also share, Ankur, what would be are the generally case very general, or is there any business kind of case, or maybe your friends, what is the kind of case that they have received?
Yeah, the cases are quite general. Like, you can make out something out of the case. It's not that you need to put up a CEO cap on that. It's a normal case. Like here in the case as well, there's the facts and analysis that we are told at CL. So I believe if students apply that analysis, I think we can get a significant chunk out of the case itself.
Okay, thank you, Ankur. And so one of the I think what is important would be is how to analyze the case. So, Tom, how does one go about analyzing case? You can just share that would be great.
To be very frank, one of the models that I have always followed while preparing for an entrance exam is the SLEP model. Something like Ankur said, same thing, but you can probably remember it better when you call it SLEP. So you have social perspective, you have legal perspective on it, you have economics perspective, political perspective, and technology perspective. So you can look at the case from all these angles, but having said that, if you look at what Ankur mentioned about the case, it comes to be more of a lot of social aspects to be involved into it, how sensitive you are about the whole experience of both the candidates who went through it and how you can help them out, things like that. So that's what probably they look in the case and how you figure it out, how you present your points across, what did you feel about it. So there are no right or wrong answers. All what they're trying to see is your thinking process on what you felt about the whole matter presented to you. I'll hand over to Aditya and Ekta to add on to it.
I agree with Tom on this. It's a more holistic view that you present to the case, like analyze it from all sides, and also sometimes it might add on if you see if there's some hidden answers or meaning, and then bring out a different perspective to it. But then it's alright for you to get the basic answers right. Usually the cases are supplemented with the questions which have direct answers. So yeah.
Did you also get a case study?
During my internship group discussions, not entrance. Yeah, so that's about it. Just make relevant points, stick, be specific. If they're giving you questions, be specific to the question and don't go about discussing each and everything, because in 10 minutes you cannot, they're just looking for answers, and how you put forward the point.
There's one more thing about the case, that Ankur's case, which is the case is about ethics. Okay, and I remember Tom sharing this last time that how does NMIMS look at ethics? And for example, let's say is honesty the best policy, or any case related to ethics, and where does one have to play? For example, if the question comes in the interview, or if somebody puts up an ethical dilemma, it specifically with respect to NMIMS. Tom, you can share what you shared last time with me.
Ethics, NMIMS has very high standards on ethics, and probably I'll not go into PI, but as far as GD is concerned, they may bring that up, and you can also see at the kind of programs that NMIMS has. Like they have 3 weeks of week care activities. So all I can say is when you have to choose between a middle path and a stronger side, always have a leaning towards the stronger side, because that's what I've observed in NM.
Yeah. Ankur, you would like to add anything in terms of analysis of the case? You're mentioning something.
Yeah, sure. I agree completely with Ekta. Like, you don't beat around the bush. Get to the specifics. Mention the specifics of the case, and moreover, as Tom mentioned, ethics plays very high. Now, even if you are not so ethical in your attitude towards life, but you have to be ethical at least there. Like in GDPI, you have to be very ethical, at least with the NM. And apart from that, I believe case analysis, if you practice a few cases initially, I think that will help a lot, because that gives you a perspective as to how to go about analyzing a case. Even just 2 cases or 3 cases initially would help you, give you a simple idea. I think that's all from my side.
Yeah, perfect. So, yeah, once.
So, and one more thing is, there are 2 things which I feel, even in my GD there was no case, but going ahead in placement process I've seen there are various cases, there are two things which are always very important. First of all, case is always, a winning opportunity for you. Reason being, you can easily start the case by just breaking it down that, okay, so and so is the case and this is something which has been asked. So, that can be a clear-cut, easy opportunity for you to enter at first, which, more or less in most of the cases makes a good impression if you start well. So, capitalize on that. Second thing is, decision making is something that they expect you to come out. No, don't try to find a middle path. Come out with a concrete result, concrete answer, yes or no kind of scenario. So this is something that I feel that you should focus on in the cases, studies or whatever duties I have been.
So if I basically capture the Dido here again, so if I basically capture the essence of what I'm getting is this, this is learning for all of us. One is that it is going to be a case study and there will be 8 to 10 people, so you've got enough and ample time to discuss the whole case. And two is the panelist will not interrupt you while you are discussing the case, so you're left on your own. What they're looking for is your ability to analyze the case and come up with concrete decisions. So what will be important would be to analyze the case, look at all the aspects of the case. And yes, and one of the things that came out from the discussion is also that ethical part should be taken all throughout the one day that you're spending in NMIMS. I'm also assuming that throughout your life will be ethical, but at least during that interview process, you have to be ethical. Okay. So before I move on to PIs, I have a few questions. So you've seen your batchmate. So I have here Tom, who is 2011 batch, and I have 2012 batch, 2013 batch, 2010 batch here. So what is the sense of, what is the kind of student, the quality that they look at in NMIMS? So this will help the students evaluate how do they pitch to the interview. So I can probably start off with Tom and then take one by one. What is your sense? You've also been alumni, you're an alumni member. So what's the sense that you see in the kind of quality that they look at?
The kind of quality that NM expects from a student is an all-round performer. So it's not that you have to be concentrated on one side. Your acads are really good, but as far as your extracurricular activities are concerned, you are nil over there. So I remember in my PI, it asked me a lot about a kind of a documentary film that I had made, asked me a lot about a robotics competition that I had won. So they were trying to, probe what else has he done in his life and how well-rounded he is. So, and having joined NMIMS and when I looked at my batchmates, my classmates, yes, I would definitely add on to the thought that I had. They are looking for an all-round performer, at least a person who has put his hand into everything and knows a little bit of everything, not focused totally into one particular area. I'll give it to Aditya to add his thoughts on it.
Hi, Aditya. So, what Tom said is, very apt that you have to be an all-rounder. Second thing which I feel is, it's important from your end to bring out the leadership qualities in you in whichever way you have done. Even if you have managed a team of 5 people, bring that out in an interview. This is something that they definitely, I feel, look at, and this is, a general thumb rule in all interviews, not only in this, but going ahead as well. The leadership quality, wherever you have exhibited, it can be managing a team of 2 people or 200 people, doesn't matter, but you have to ensure that you put forward this point that you have those, qualities in you. Second thing is, as I said, so, on ethical side, even, during the, so this is something that look at. For example, I'll just give an example. In my interview, they asked me, have you seen movie Guru? And then, they related it and asked me that, what do you, or not, because he was, doing more production, XYZ. So, they grill you on that. So, try to, be more on the, okay, what is right side to be the, it will be a safe thing for you, otherwise they might, dig you more into that.
Ekta, what is the sense that you get with respect to what does NMIMS look for in a candidate?
I've actually spoken to a faculty who takes interviews year on year, and then this is a feedback she gives that students these days give answers which are similar and with research on the net, and everyone coming up with the same kind of answers. So I think honesty will really add on to your points because they want some really honest answers. As both of them said that they are looking for all-rounders, but most of you may not have, might not have been an all-rounder all throughout. But then if you show that, indication that you want to be one and then you want to also take part in extracurriculars, be honest and just be yourself because they're not looking for someone who gives the same answers as others. And I mean, just that, be yourself.
Okay, so what will the sense that I get in terms of what NMIMS is looking at is an honest, upright person who stands for himself or herself and who has got an overall personality kind of a thing. Right? So there is one quick question that came here. Is there any? So what we'll now do is let's look at the PI and what we'll first do is each one of panelists to share their experiences. So Ankur, if you get, so Swati has also joined us. So Ankur, if you can share your experiences with the PI.
Yeah, my PI was on the next day when elections were announced. Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, carry on, please.
Yeah, so it was on the next day of the UP elections results. So my PI was completely on UP elections. So they were asking about how do you perceive these parties and how do you think the election has been and what contributed to the win of Samajwadi Party and what led to the defeat of BSP. So I believe candidates should actually be aware about what's happening around in the current affairs and not just about the politics, also about the business environment as well. Moreover, they grilled me on my work experience. So this is a general scenario that we see across the interviews in various schools that they do ask you about how do you contribute to your workplace and how do you manage conflict at your workplace, what are your leadership qualities at your workplace. So at least candidates should analyze themselves beforehand how they want to present themselves about the workplace that they are representing. I believe this was only from the interview.
And so one more thing is that, sorry Ankur to disturb you there. One more thing is that, what about academics? How many years of experience did you have before you went?
22 months.
So you had 22 months. So your focus was where? Academics or was it on your work experience in the interview?
Actually, NM gave like 60-65% focus onto the NM result, the NMAT result. And then 15%, 5 to 10% weightage is given to your ACAD, your 10, 12 marks and graduation marks. And then a little focus to your work experience, a little percentage on your work experience, and then to the GDPI process. So basically GDPI consists, has a very small pie in the entire selection process.
But what I'm saying, in your PI were very good on ACADs. So you had someone that...
Not exactly, exactly, okay. But yeah, they can definitely ask you at any time.
Okay, thanks. So, Tom, how has been experience and in the PI? So we can share that and probably give some tips in terms of what is that one has to look at in the PI.
During my PI, I had two panelists, and the entire experience of PI was a very pleasant experience. So I think that is a general trend in NM. All they want to know is what you have done in your life, and like Ankur rightly pointed out, if you have had work experience, what are the leadership skills? What did you do in your work? And if you are suppose an IT employee, what did you go out of the way and do something more than that was required of you? So that was basically what happened in my PI. And also the SOP that I had submitted, they had it in front of them and they asked me a lot of questions on the SOP, not in a grilling format, but a very pleasant question on why from engineering you're shifting to an MBA in finance. So they wanted a clear answer for that. They wanted an answer on why do you basically want to do an MBA.
So what did you say as to why you want? I think that you have 2 years experience in LT Infotech.
Yes.
Before you went to NM, I'm sure that a lot of engineers here, and some of them may want to shift to finance. I believe that Aditya was also the case. Did you experience, you were a fresher engineer and then you said you would want to do finance. So how did you do this?
So
you said,
I feel that's the best safest answer.
I think we'll have a better answer from Aditya, but I'll be honest what I had said. I was also under this dilemma during my preparations for PI during my calls. So I had said that finance being a backbone of the industry, I need to know about it. During my work experience, how I related to various aspects of finance and how not having any background or not having any knowledge actually bogged me down to a bit. And I also give a very real-life example. My dad had a business, and because of financial mismanagement, there was something that we had to do different. So I said that, probably a financial knowledge would have given me a good foresight on how to manage those things. And that's the reason why I want to move on to finance and get onto that field. So they pretty much found it convincing at that point in time, and that's the reason they took me into NM. So I'll give it to Aditya now. He'll have a more better answer for you, probably, which I think we have 40 participants, 40 plus.
Yes.
All of us will not say the same thing. Yeah, I'll give it to Aditya now.
Even I think it's especially for freshers, because maybe work people can easily relate it, or people with finance background can very easily relate to what they want to do. So if they've done, the graduation in finance, they can easily say that I want to do it in finance. Now the main problem is with engineers, because they've done engineering and then they are shifting to MBA. Then, which line you want to go is a tricky thing. Reason being, if you say, okay, I want to do it in finance, they'll, get into it and grill you. Why finance, X, Y, Z. So what I, said at my interview was that the first year in NM is a general course. So I said that, maybe, and you have to decide more or less after 1 year only. That's how you choose. So I told them that since I'll be, going ahead with all the subjects of all the fields, say marketing, finance, operations, so maybe, going ahead I'll have a better view what exactly I want to do. But then I gave them that, okay, I have a certain inclination towards finance or marketing that you can very easily correlate with your whatever work you have done in the past. For example, I'm just giving an example, in my engineering college, I was into this event committee, so did a lot of marketing. So, I just related it with that, okay, maybe, there is something that I always enjoyed doing, and this is something which I was comfortable with. So maybe this is something that I would, so related with what you have done in the past. That will help your case, and they won't be able to grill you much, because you said, okay, fine, I've experienced it and I found it good enough. But maybe, going ahead, learning about other things might shift my interest towards that. So, more or less, I feel that it's a safe option where you will not be grilled much, because if you say finance, then if suppose in a panel there is one person who is an investment banker, because okay, I'll tell you about panelists as well. At my time there was one faculty, one LL member, and one was from the industry. If God forbid and there's one, solid finance person sitting there, he'll grill your case, because that's what he enjoys. Anything ki phas gaya murga, mere paas aaya hai, and then I will grill him. That's more like that. And second thing, tell me something about yourself. This will be the first question that we shot at you. So prepare it well. Tell something about yourself, your schooling, about your family, your education background, what you have done, leadership positions, and one significant achievement of your life which you feel that, okay, this is something that, takes you or makes you stand out from the queue. So, if you mention it over there, then it will give you a pace to your interview. Then, few things that you should be, ready with what is your short-term goal and long-term goal, and your idol or something, the achievement of your life, and hobbies. I wrote that I like reading, and to be very honest, I was not very fond of reading. I read few books just for the sake of it. Interview I will be able to say something. So, but I prepared well about 3 books, because I knew that it will be a generic question that will be thrown on me that, okay, which books? And then, if I know every single thing about those particular books, that will help my case. So, whatever hobby you have written, just ensure that about 2-3 main things about that hobby you should be, well versed with, about which you can talk in your interview. Thank you.
I'm just adding to what Aditya said. Hello?
Yes, Swati. First of all, let me introduce Swati to everyone. Swati is also a current year student at NMIMS, so thanks for joining in. So Swati, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, just adding on to what Aditya said. There is one more question which is very important and usually asked in the GDPI, which is tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. So that question also you should be prepared with thoroughly. And it's not that in these strengths and weaknesses you should be very vocal about it. What are your weaknesses? And you should show that it in a very positive note. So if you're saying that your weakness, then you should be showing that okay, you're working on that weakness. That is one point I would like to add.
Yes, thanks, Swati. I'll take a couple of questions from the students here. One question is, can one be specific? Like I want to do operations. This is asked by Suhas. Suhas, my answer to that question is this, is that you can say anything. Okay. You can say I want to do operations, you can say I want to do finance, you can say I want to be an entrepreneur, you can say anything. So whatever you say must make sense. And that has to make sense from two aspects. One, it has to make sense from something that you've done in the past. So that can tell me that you have the competence to do what you want to do. Second is that you have interest in doing what you want to do. So if you are wanting to say operations, I'm looking at two things. One, is it something that you're saying for the sake of the interview? Or is there anything in the past which kind of tells me that this is really what you want to do in the operations? There's Akshita has a question. What kind of questions can be expected? Suhas, sorry. So you said you were interested to. Then go ahead and say that. What's your experience, Suhas? If you can just type that. 1 sec. Okay, I'll first, Akshita had a question. What kind of questions can be expected from candidates who has taken a gap after BTech? Most obvious that I can think of is why. And so then your answer to that question, why, will lead to the next set of questions. So one is, I believe there could be three more reasons. One reason is that is out of choice, you wanted to prepare for the entrance exam. 2, you did not get a job. 3, it's probably that your company postponed their joining date. But irrespective of whatever, it is going to be a question. Because always also remember this, Akshita, that you are competing with people who after completing their BTech has taken up a job. So you be prepared for this. There are a couple of more questions here. So, 1 second. Rajat has a question. I am an engineer and working in an IT company. My interest is being a business analyst in an IT firm. What can I say at NMIMS? Does it provide MBA in IT?
Yes. You can, in NMIMS, in the second year, you have an option to play around with a lot of subjects. So the course is structured in such a way that you can pick up any subjects that you want. So I had taken up subjects like tech ventures, technology ventures, private equity, different subjects altogether. So you tend to do general management even in the second year. So like you said, in information systems, you can take a lot of subjects related to that, and that is headed by Professor Neele Yagnik, who looks after IT systems. So you can have a look about his profile, and you can also have a look at the subjects offered in NMIMS related to IT and systems. So if you take more than 5 or 6 subjects, I think that is your focus area in the second year. More than 8 subjects, yeah.
Subramanian says he has applied for MBA and as well as HR. How is the HR program in NM?
I think it's good, really good, as good as the MBA course program, and the faculties are good. And if you talk about placements, MBA HR is also something very focused upon, and the placements are really good if that's what you're looking at.
So one is, there are a lot of questions coming on various kind of specializations. So we'll take that little later, about in 5-10 minutes. What I'll do is quickly take. So Swati, we are discussing about the whole interview experience. So Swati, can you share what was your interview experience? What are the kind of questions that you got during your interview?
Yeah, my interview was majorly focused on my work ex, and then they also on to ask my family background, what was my family background, and then why I wanted to do MBA. Majorly they were focused on these three areas, and they wanted to ensure that whatever I'm saying is it true or not. Like if I say that I'm good at art, so they made me draw during the interview itself. So you have to be very sure what you are saying and you are able to prove it. So I would suggest everybody that you don't say anything just for the sake of saying it. If you are good at something, then say it, and otherwise don't say it. If you have an interest in sports, then you should have a thorough knowledge about sports. Then only say that you have an interest in sports. Because if they ask you back the questions on which you have said that you have an interest in, and you're not able to answer them, that will be a negative thing rather than being a positive.
So basically what Swati is saying, guys, is that A, know what you're saying, and B, be honest about what you're saying. So Ekta is
they're able to make out easily if you're saying this for the heck of saying it and you're not thorough with it. They're able to make out easily during the interview process.
Okay, so what I see is that three of our panelists have had experience before going to the interview, and Aditya and Ekta also had 15 months experience. Aditya is the only one who was a fresher before getting interviewed. So Ekta, what has been your experience? You were non-engineer. So I think that in the panelists we have a non-engineer. So let's hear from Ekta what has been her experience.
My interview was about for 20 minutes, and the only thing they grilled me about was why MBA and why not post-graduation mass media, since I've done a bachelor's in mass media. I think 20 minutes. So I had to convince them why MBA, and whatever I spoke, they cross-questioned me, and I had a sense that they were impressed by my profile, but the only thing that they were checking was my ability to convince them, communication skills, and maybe the attitude. But I stood ground for about 20 minutes saying that, I believe this is my reason for doing my MBA and I'm right, and that's what, got me forward. But if you only to believe you're doing something right, stand up for yourself. But if you feel that there's something, even a soft skill that you're lacking in, that the interviewers come across, accept it and say, so this is what I think I'm lacking in, and I'll make an effort to learn those. Be honest, and that's what will get you through.
I'm taking this one question which is asked by Anshuman, who is, can you please discuss a bit more about MBA core? We'll do that about specially Anshuman, just hold on for us a while. Baranjit has a question. Baranjit's question is, I have 5.5 years of experience, around 4 years and 4 months HCL and 1 year. For example, I have an interview on the 20th Feb. What are the kind of questions I can expect in my interview? What do I need to prepare for that? So one is, Baranjit, someone who has got 5 years of experience, my expectation from that person with 5 years experience is having very, very clear goal as to what is that person going to do next. Okay, so that is my clear expectation. So for example, you have your work with HCL, your work with Oracle Financial. So I would like to know that what is that you want to do, and how is that your 5 years? So obviously you cannot go tell them you're going to do something very different, because they'll find it very difficult to place you. With 5 years of experience and then you want to do something different, so they might not take you. So you basically will have to convince that, look, whatever I'm going to do now is a logical progression as to what I did from now. Once you get in, then you figure out what you have to do. But when you get in, you have to take the easiest path of all. One more, average duration of interview is about 15-20 minutes. So 20-30 minutes. For all the students, before I take the next set of questions, I have a few thoughts that I would like to share with you. If I look at what an interview is, interview to me is an art of telling your story, right? And you must be sure about what your story is, and that is what you have to communicate. I mean, if you try and be someone else, and you're gone. And look at the panelists in NMIMS. You have a professor, you have an alumni who has known, seen stuff. Okay, who's been a part of the whole thing, you know how does a guy do an interview, and then you have a guy from industry. And if you look at the kind of person that comes, they're not trying to judge, for example, who is the president of Uganda, whether you know that or not. They're simply trying to judge you as a person and where you fit in. So you have to get your story in place. When I say story in place, it's like, where have you started? How has been your journey? And where are you headed? And your SOPs in some point should have reflected that particular journey of yours. And be assured that you'll have a lot of questions on SOP. Ankur, is there anything you would like to add, Swati, to this?
You have 5 years of experience, so that's pretty much like, usually people have 2 years of experience, 2 to 3 years of experience. So if you come in front of the panel, as he rightly said that you should be very clear why you want to do MBA. It should be, and you should be able to prove it, because they would suggest you various things during the interview. They will say that why not go for a executive program, because it will be better for you and other sorts of things. And you should be able to answer that only why you need to do a regular MBA from NM. They will say that after doing 5 years experience, whether you go to IM, so you should be able to justify your choice.
Okay, thanks. Harsh has a question. Harsh says that 59.1% graduation. He did his BE from Punjab University, and in his graduation got involved with politics, and which affected your graduation marks. Currently, you're working with IT startup for 2.5 years. What kind of questions would he face? So, are you going to say that you are involved in university politics? So if you're going to say you're going to involve in university politics, your interview is going to go one direction. What I'm basically assuming that you're not going to say all that. If I look at your profile, you got 59% graduation. That is not the end of the life. You could easily say that you are involved in external activities, but the fact of the matter is you've been working for the past 2.5 years in an IT startup. An IT startup is a very, I am sure that you have a lot of stories to talk about IT startup. IT startup, you will end up doing a lot of different types of work. You don't have one specific kind of work. You're not the regular in-feed TCS kind of a guy. And I'm sure that there is a tremendous amount of learning that you got. You know how entrepreneur setup works. So I think even you can, the way, if I were you in the interview, if I were you, I might tell me about myself will be something like this. I'll say that I'm so and so. In the last 2.5 years, I worked with the startup. And then made a chunk of my explanation I'm going to spend on my startup. And the reason as to why I got into startup. I don't know what your family backgrounds are. If your family has the family business background, then you can relate that. And then probably give a whole story of why you want to be an entrepreneur in the future. So I don't think there is no need to be tense. So I think you basically hide that whole reasons.
From academics to your entrepreneurship.
No, with you, I feel that percentage, especially in graduation, is very, or 59% is very easy to defend. Reason being, now you can definitely say that one, focus on the 2.5 years of experience that you've got. Second thing, you can easily say that, okay, fine, those were the times you were involved in extracurricular activities. You have, moved on, and finally you've got a call from NM. Okay, so that talks something about your analytical and on an intellectual side. Okay, so that will justify that you don't lack it just because you are involved in something else, maybe extracurricular or XYZ. You can make some story there, and then you can easily justify it over there. Okay, fine. Now I've got a call from NM, so that easily covers it up.
There's one question: how to prepare for questions in finance? This is by Abhishek. There are in my panel, there are two financial, one is a management consultant, one is NBFC bank. So one of you can pick that question. The question is how to prepare. Okay, so how to prepare is, I think, is a strange question, but yeah. Finance for the interview perspective, Tom?
It's not needed. Abhishek. His name is Abhishek. Yeah. Abhishek, so frankly speaking, if you're an engineer trying to move on to finance, I'm pretty sure they won't be asking you any finance related questions. Unless you rub it on the face that you have learned a lot about finance in the last 2-3 months, and things like that. And if you're really alert, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to handle the question that's thrown at you, because they won't be taking you or asking you really tough questions on finance. But having said that, if you're from a financial background and if you're looking for a post-graduation in finance, I think your basics should be clear. They'll be probably looking at basic ratios that you should be knowing, balance sheet, P&L, how you judge companies, etc. Nothing. So you're from commerce background. Yeah, so they'll be judging you on basically what you know about. So they'll probably even divert to economics, and they may ask you a little bit on economics also, general trends on economics. How do you control inflation? What's the role of RBI? Things like that. They won't, according to me, I strongly feel they won't really get into strong financial questions to pull you down. It's normally very pleasant interviews, just trying to know whether you know your stuff or not. I'll hand it over to Aditya just to add on if he has anything to know.
As Tom said, I also feel that one thing, finance, economics is forms the main part of finance. So you just read about what is the recent happening on economic front. So maybe something about, if I can just use the term fiscal deficit, current account deficit, what government is doing. Because this is, not a rocket science, and inflation, and this is something which is happening and it is in news as well. So they just check that whether you have if you are saying that, okay, I want to do MBA in finance, they just like to know that whether you have an inclination towards finance or not, that you like that or not. Because if you clearly come out and say, okay, I don't know what's happening on fiscal deficit front, then maybe, in a way it will show that, okay, this is something in the news for the past 1 month and he has not even read it. That means he is not interested in finance that much. So, just show your inclination by, throwing some basic information, basic news, whatever is going in the financial field for the time being.
Yeah. So there's one question. I want to start a business after some corporate exposure. Will they grill me on the business plan and the intricacies involved?
Yeah, they could definitely ask you in what area you want to start business and what have you worked on that. So if you're saying that I want to start a restaurant, so they'll say, what are the, have you done your background homework, that what are the costs involved in starting a restaurant, what are the licenses that they require, how do you plan to do it. So they will probably ask you certain basic questions to check your seriousness towards your plan.
Yeah, to add, Sachin, you had, so now it also depends upon how you're going to place that answer. Okay, so for example, if I'm going to say that immediately after my MBA I want to start a business of my own, then it makes sense that I should know what business and what is that MBA going to help me. And the second kind of answer is that normally that people give, eventually we want to be an entrepreneur types. Then the next question is that why eventually want to be an entrepreneur. If you're not very sure and it is just one of those plans that you have back of your mind, my suggestion would be to avoid mentioning that you want to be an entrepreneur. And once you get into NMIMS, you can do whatever you want to do, like how Tom did. So after working for KPMG for a couple of years, he started a company of his own. So that opportunity you can also do. Abhishek, you just mentioned I got placed in JP Morgan 1 month back. Will it work for me or against? Depends. So, one is, the only question is that if you have JP Morgan, why is that you are not taking that up to do an MBA? That to me is the most logical question that should come. I don't think that nobody is going to penalize because you got a good job. Right? So that speaks volumes, speaks some sense of what kind of person you are. The only thing that you will have to eventually basically answer is, why is that you want to do an MBA now instead of working for JP Morgan for some time and then do an MBA? So that would be the answer that you will have to basically look at. So one is, okay, anyone has an idea of total intakes and how many people are generally called, the ratio of number of calls and seats? 1:8, Anshuman. Okay. So if there's a few questions about various programs, almost about MBA core, MBA capital markets. Anyone would like to? Anyone want to take that up? Say that MBA core.
They usually ask you for your preferences when you're applying that, mostly everyone would opt for your first option as MBA core, and then maybe if you have an inclination towards finance, MBA capital market or MBA banking. MBA core as such is the flagship program of NMIMS. The first year is the general management course. You get exposure of all the subjects, whether be it marketing, finance, economics, HR, IT. And then second year you have the option of selecting a course which you want to major in. Marketing, finance, operations, IT, and the good thing is during placement you can, even if you're majoring in marketing, you can sit for companies that are offering a finance profile, providing you justify why you want to take up the role. And the program as such, the faculty is good. We have people coming in from the industry who had decent and good experiences on the industry, maybe banking or marketing. We have guest faculties coming in, so much so that CEOs of top companies even visit our campus to give a guest lecture. And we have exposures to all corporate contests, events, seminars. So opportunity-wise, MBA core and as much MBA capital market, banking, everything is equal opportunity-wise.
Swati, Ankur, anything you have done your first year now, so what is the sense that you get about the various programs in the campus, MBA capital market, MBA core?
Yeah, core is the flagship program of NMIMS, so it definitely gets advantages in various placement services, placements as well, and in various other programs. So there are places where, like even when we have competitions coming out with of various companies, so there have been times where people from CapMarks and other streams have not been allowed to apply for that. So people should try to focus more on core, because otherwise CapMarks, even though has a good curriculum and placements are quite decent. But like when we compare to core gives you a holistic view. So people, even the placements, the companies prefer picking up candidates from the core. I'll pass on to Swati.
That's something right, that if you are taking up, unless and until you are very sure that you want to major in CapMarks or HR or banking, which are very niche courses, I would say. So if you are very sure that you want to make a career in these lines, then I would suggest that you take up these courses. Otherwise, if you want to get a holistic view, because that is the major issue with all of us when we do job after our engineering, and then we don't have much of exposure about other areas. So that's why first year is taken as that time period to understand what is there in campus streams, so that we can make up our mind what we want to specialize in. So MBA course will provide you that opportunity, and definitely it will widen your horizon. Taking up a specialist course will be a niche thing, a niche area in which you can make your career. MBA course will definitely provide you a broadened horizon in which you can make your career. So that is the advantage of MBA course.
Okay. Guys, if I have to give my perspective on the various programs, irrespective of which of these schools it is, that the outcome of an MBA program is largely dependent upon what have you done with the program. Okay. What basically it means that A, what is the grade that you got in the program, B, what is the kind of activity that you did in the campus. So irrespective of whether it is, to me, whether it is core or capital market or any of, obviously a particular program gives you a particular opportunity, but finally what matters is the kind of stuff that you do in the campus. Right.
I agree with Jijo, and since I'm currently studying in NMIMS, and I've seen it that people from capital markets and banking, they actually make the most of those programs and turn out to be brighter than the students of MBA core. So it depends on you how you make the best use of the opportunity given to you.
Yeah, so for that to happen, yes, you'll have to get there first. So, yeah. So we'll take, there are some questions, I'll take them one by one. One is, Meenal says that, there's a question which says, you've taken civil service exam attempt last year, could not clear it, now I want to do an MBA first. How do I justify that? Actually, I don't know how you want to do it, but there was a friend of mine who after doing his MBA got into civil services. So civil services is managing a certain function for your country. So in that perspective, MBA and civil service are almost the same. So one way you can pitch it is that your end goal is X, which means to help the society or whatever. And one path that we chose was the civil services. Because that failed, I took plan B, which was the MBA. That is one option. Second option is not to mention anything about the civil services alone, and then all you have to explain is what were you doing for 1 year, or what was the gap. So those would be the two things that you can evaluate. Yeah, you can also look at the social angle of NM, the kind of activity NM does, and so if you're very, very, very interested and you've done a lot of stuff in that line, so then the story that you can stick to is the one wherein end goal, there are two different paths that you looked at. One was civil services, one was MBA. Civil services did not happen, so you picked up MBA. So I still feel it's a little dangerous to tread that path, but nevertheless that's an option. Second question, in electives can we opt for subjects from different areas like marketing, finance, making it a general course? Of course, that is what elective means. So it is like if I would like to have Italy with chili chicken, so it offers that option. So
there's also general management option.
Okay, there's also general management as an option.
That you can have a mixture of all subjects.
Yeah, you can have a mixture of all subjects. So Rajat, I hope that question is answered. So now Ashish has a question. I've got a core MBA call. It's score 209 and 80 plus in 10th, 12th and grad, 2.5 years in a power plant. What are the chances that I have? I request to give factual answers to my question based on past year scenario. 209 score.
Look, to be very honest with you, whatever those grades, whatever those marks would have done for you, they've already done, and you have got an interview call. I feel the role of all these things limits to that. Now the way you perform in your GD and PI will define the future course of, path for you.
But I want to answer all this question. So for example, if Mr. Rastogi, I believe, shared this thing that the weightage for test is 70. And in the interview is 7.5%, GD interview is 7.15%. So how much does really the interview play a role? So there is a...
I tell my percentile was 95. So as compared, there were other people as well. But I felt that, to be very honest, I felt when I gave my GD an interview, I really had this feeling that I nailed it big time. So I got the call on the very first list. Which was in that 300, and there were friends of mine who have got more percentile than me, in fact in the 99 range, with almost similar attached with me, got a waiting call. So I personally feel that interview, definitely interview, not even GD I'm saying, interview, if you're able to show that your class apart and you're good and you do really well, then, I have a feeling that can make or break for you.
Okay, so so Ashish, the answer to that, the question is this. Forget about what happened, give your best shot in the interview, and let the school decide what they want to do with you. Next, I'll take another question. Why NMIMS? So now, so why should, I don't know how many of you are here, about 50 of you are here. So one is, please don't share the same answers. But what does, so let's try and get an understanding of what are so we'll start with the people who are studying in the batch currently. So we'll take that from
the focus that NM gives on the studies.
Okay.
And you can add on to this that why NMIMS, you can say that because of the location that is situated in Mumbai, you definitely tend to have more corporate exposure because of the location advantage. And secondly, it's been recently NMIMS has been ranked in one of the top 10 MBA schools. So you can also cite out that. Good hatter, that's why you want to join NMIMS.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
See, some of the things that is very distinct about NMIMS is, I think many of the colleges in India may have that, but some of the things that I was very interested in was the faculty. You can go and look at the faculty profiles of the faculties you have in NMIMS. The reason that the colleges in Bombay is one of the main drivers that the faculties join an institute like NMIMS, because they can have consulting projects running simultaneously. So you have some campus not in a metro city. The cream of the faculty may not prefer such camp. I know I'm making a varying statement, but this is what I have seen. So you can go through the faculty profile, see the faculties that you have, Dr. Anupam Rastogi, Dr. Meena Galaria, and in my case, I had a faculty from UCLA, IIT Bombay, UCLA, my tech ventures professor, who still guides me in my technology venture that I've just started off. So he helped me raise funding, he helped me throughout the entire process. So faculty is one of the major reasons, and most of the faculty are sent to Harvard for faculty development program. So the kind of thoughts they bring onto the classroom is way different. In the case study, when you discuss in the classroom, the discussion that you have, none of your points are said to be wrong, and they are all looked at it from a different angle. So you can highlight all those cases, what you have heard from the alumni, and definitely like Ankur and Swati has pointed out, being a one of the top B schools in India, plus the huge alumni network we have is something that you can capitalize on once you pass out from NMIMS. So these are my thoughts and opinions on why NMIMS.
Yeah, even I feel that most of the points are covered. Only the alumni base, the college has a history of more than 15 years, so you can, see that what is the range of organizations also these people will be in. So that is definitely going to help you on the most important aspect of your life, that is placements. So I don't know what is their view, but you can very openly say this thing as well, that it has a track and history of one of the best placements across industry, just because of the fact that it has a huge and a great alumni base. So this is definitely going to help you in your going ahead. Second is that it's the financial center of the country. It's in Mumbai. So that is definitely helping you, not in terms of only in terms of placements, but also in terms of corporate projects. There are various organizations, various new ventures also that have started in Mumbai. So you can get a good hang of live corporate projects just because of you can get the location benefit. And also I feel that one thing which will look good when you say is that since the quality of the students as well as the faculty is really good, maybe this quality will help you to bring out the best in you as well. So personally as well, it will benefit you just because of the core quality of the people and the faculty and the institute per se.
Ekta, I have a specific question to ask you. You are the cultural secretary of your campus. So while everybody gave a perspective of the whole faculty and the curriculum, culturally, in terms of what are the kind of development that one can have extracurricular wise or other development that happens in the campus, if you can share, that will be great.
I think first, talking about the people in NMIMS, students come from diverse backgrounds, and that's one thing. Being an MBA student, you learn people management first, and honestly, NMIMS today, the placements if you see, is comparable to the top P schools, be it IMA, be it best of the companies visit our campus, and still there you'll find something that there are constraints in infrastructure, there are constraints in resources, and I think the best place to do an MBA is to do from such a place, because it will help you manage people, manage resources, manage situations, and then that's the best learning and experience you can have from NMIMS currently. And culturally, to see the events, I handle all the corporate contests and events of other B schools, so I know that anyone who's organizing an event, maybe a B school from IIM or a corporate from someone from the industry, they do contact NMIMS, and NMIMS has a very good participation. Some of us reach the finals, win events. Even now, people from NMIMS have won the national CFA Institute Research championship, and also we are the winners in the flip exam this year. So a lot of opportunities here, and you get exposure to almost every opportunity that students of IIMs would get.
So so if I can, basically I think this is the important insight. So if I can sum up in terms of why NMIMS, one is the faculty members, and what I also liked is what Tom shared in terms of faculty actually helping him set the business. So the interaction between student and faculty is nice. Okay. Two is there's a lot of opportunity that one has to develop oneself in the particular campus. And as suggested, please visit and look at actually your look at all the faculty profiles. Go to the LinkedIn and search. You know for a fact that one of them is going to be in a panel. Okay, so it probably makes sense if you know that guy before going to that interview panel. You know the kind of guy he is, and probably in the interview, I don't know whether you want to share some aspect of the stuff that he has done or she has done, and stuff like that. Okay, so I'll move on. So there are a lot of other questions coming in. One is, what are the chances of making it to NM who are borderline? So I think this is already addressed by Aditya. You said that Aditya was in the borderline, that's what he says. 95 percentile. And he in fact said better than the people who scored 99 percentile. So you have one of the panelists who's already there and done it. So you can check. The question is for people who have filled core or first preference in capital market and banking as second and third. Are we expected to know about the two sectoral programs, and also will there be question on the choice? In the interview,
they don't generally question on the options or preferences you've given. It's just that the first take out the list of MBA core and people who are waitlisted there, and if you're given a second option as MBA cap marks, then they might put you in MBA capital market or banking, depending upon your preferences. They don't question you about your preferences at all.
Okay, so they don't question about your preferences, even if they're asked. You basically tell them that you gave me 3 choices, so exercise the choice. Okay. Next comes. Okay. Why NMIMS we have answered. Okay. Now there is some questions about NMIMS Bangalore campus and Hyderabad campus. Anyone thoughts on that? So. I recently heard today, in fact, one person that I know who had gone to NMIMS Bangalore campus and he got placed in Bosch and was getting a package of 9 lakhs. So I have just one case, but basically I can safely assume that NMIMS core campus is far better than the Bangalore campus. Yeah. So one.
In fact, your first and clear choice should be, and it should only be NMIMS Mumbai. Reason being, why I'm saying this is, the placement committee at all the 3 locations work separately. They don't work as a team that, okay, Mumbai placement committee will work and get a company that will go into Bangalore campus as well. So, the history of NMIMS Mumbai campus is huge. Big, say 10, 15 years, 20 years. NMIMS Bangalore campus and other new campuses are fairly new. The placement committee and the alumni network is not that much. So, NMIMS Mumbai should be the campus you should look at.
Okay, the question is here, I could not find notable alumni of NMIMS. Please let us few profile-wise the position they hold today. Name not required. So, top alumni of your institute.
CEO, Arna Jayanti, she's the Capgemini CEO. She's our alumni.
Even Red Bull CEO, India head is from NMIMS. The CEO of Tommy Hilfiger, this India is from NMIMS, and a lot of companies have people from NMIMS in senior management team, even in companies like Asian Paints. So I think yeah, they are far scattered.
See, my technology venture is focused into HR recruitment product. So I have landed up in many companies and VP level, and now I've seen many NMIMS graduates. For example, just to name a few from Mastec, among the top management you have NMIMS graduates, NMIMS pass outs. From WNS you have NMIMS guys, Mahindra and Mahindra finance head of HR is NMIMS person, Sintel head of HR is NMIMS person. So you can have a look. LinkedIn would be a better option to search regarding these alumni. But some of the famous alumni are Aruna Jayanti, CEO of Heinz also is from NMIMS, Tommy Hilfiger and Red Bull, like the other panelists have pointed it out.
General manager of Sevi is also from NMIMS.
GM of Sevi is also from NMIMS. So you have got good set of alumni, so the strength is there in the industry. And Tom says that NMIMS are very humble, they don't show up, that's why you don't get to hear. Okay. So once you join NMIMS, you can see there is one guy who will know. The question is it okay to be jovial in interview or one should be serious? For my answer, my sense of I say that one has to be serious in the whole process. One should not give the feeling that this is you're not serious about the whole process. So I think that it is better to be professional. Right.
And to answer Abhishek, that the place you are trying to be jovial, people are craving for that seat. There are a lot of people waiting for that single seat, and you cannot take chances in that place.
Okay, Niyati says you don't suggest NMIMS Bangalore is sounded like that. Actually, Niyati is a very difficult question to answer because finally, good or bad is relative, right? So, for example, Bill Gates said Harvard was bad for him. So what is good or what is bad is based on where is that you want to go. So the assessment that you have to make is what is that I want to do in my career. If this is where I want to go in my career, does this school meet my requirements? So it's like saying, for example, maybe IIM is bad for someone. So you'll have to evaluate that. So when Aditya gave a perspective as to how NMIMS Bangalore is, that is in comparison with an NMIMS Bombay. So within NMIMS Bombay, obviously NMIMS Bombay will have better prospects than NMIMS Bangalore. NMIMS Bangalore, irrespective as a campus, has to be evaluated on its own merit, is what I feel. How many waitlists and how does the waitlist movement occur? So, what is?
Generally 2-3 waitlists that they take out, and in this process, some students might get calls from other schools, and then they move out, and then the waitlist moves forward. It's just general process, but 2-3 waitlists is the norm.
Okay, I missed a question below, so I'll pick those up. Sudarshan says, would they ask in my interview why I have applied to others? They don't. We don't think so. At least so far they have not asked. Any of your friends have been asked?
They just ask, how many calls did you get and from where? That's it, and then they don't further dwell on that issue.
Okay, so if you're right. The question is for a candidate with 2 years experience, the interview is expected to be large. Okay, so this is the answer. Shine, interesting profile. Shine says, I'm an Ayurvedic doctor. I got interview for pharmaceutical management. What kind of questions can I expect? So the first logical question is, why are you shifting from what you're doing now to pharmaceutical management? Right, you had an option of probably doing a general MBA and then doing anything, or you had an option of continuing the line as a doctor. So that is one logical question. Okay, you could probably look at hospital management as an option. So you basically obviously will have to tell them as to why specifically pharma. And obviously you have enough experience as a doctor in that particular field, but therefore competence is not the issue, I think, in your case. But what is definitely going to be a question is your interest and the reason as to why you want to shift. Now if I get the sense that doctor mein zyada paisa nahi ho raha hai isliye shift ho raha hai, kind of a thing, then I won't like that, but I want strong reason as to why I want to move from here to there. Please tell us what should be written in SOP. Nikita has asked the question, but I believe that SOP is already submitted. Right. Huh? So if you have not submitted, if it's for some of the schools, SOP is the statement of purpose. Okay. So you're basically, that is your story. So you're basically talking about what you have done, why you have done what you have done, what is the plan for the future, and how does the school help you. And you have to be very, very specific and to the point, and give very, very clear indication to the candidates as to why they should select you.
Maybe for this SOP, the structure that I used, maybe I can share with you. First, I told them something, a little bit about my background, what I'm doing currently. So say you're doing job, so you just write that. I was doing engineering, so I wrote that. Then a 2-3 quality of yours, so or strength per se, so that you are hardworking or focused or XYZ. Then you come on your short-term goal. Just let them know a little bit about your short-term goal. Now correlate that short-term goal with your long-term goal, and then inform that okay, I'm doing this. I'm doing for a while, maybe say for the next 3-4 years, which will help me eventually to meet my long-term goals, which will be so and so. So there should be a sync. And then in the end, that why NMIMS? Why do you want to join NMIMS per se if you're making an SOP for that? So last para can be about that.
Swati, Ankur, please jump in if there's anything that you want to add to that. There's a question, do the panelists really take the lead we throw, or they just grill you with anything?
They will not take the leads that you throw.
Sometimes they do, because
they try to grill you on what you say what you say earlier. Like I remember from my interview, I was asked like, when you are into IT, so why do you want to come into MBA? So I said that I think I'm not able to contribute more into IT, and I think when I come into MBA, I'll have a holistic view, a complete perspective, and I'll be able to contribute more. And then he asked me, how will you be able to contribute more? What do you think? So then I said that we can increase more services that we provide in IT. And then he asked me, what kind of services would you increase? So you have to be quick on your feet, and you have to keep your thinking hat on at that time of the interview. So they try to basically get questions out of what you say.
Okay. So Pratik says, what are the chances of clearing the interview if I low score of 2011 and I'm a fresher studying BBA in NMIMS only? So you have one of the panelists who is a PMM graduate. So I don't think the question is Ekta, that he is basically doing his BBA in NMIMS and the score is 211. What are his chances?
I think fair enough chances you have. In fact, they're looking for people with diverse backgrounds, so you might have an added advantage at that. And I've also done my BMM from NMIMS, and so maybe you being loyal to NMIMS, that's also an advantage that they might take you. Just the part that your profile seems good, and they are looking for people with diverse backgrounds, because that's what even companies are looking for. And just perform well in an interview, and he'll be through.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions with people with 1-2 years experience. How much will they ask you about academics? Right, so I think that's not much. I think 1 to 2 years experience largely is about job, but that does not mean that you leave out academics. To be on the safe side, at least pick 3 subjects and read about it.
And for freshers, just ensure that whatever project you have done in your, say, graduation, the final project, for example, in engineering, there's a major project. So just, have information about that, because I'm pretty sure you must have written on your CV as well. So whatever projects you have mentioned in your CV, or for a working age person, whatever things you have mentioned in your CV that these are the projects you have taken, they might ask or grill you on that.
are very, very specific questions that are coming in. One is, let me pick one from here. Can you throw some light on the short-term goals and long-term goals for someone with 3 years of IT experience that want to do an MBA? I think one goal that you can keep is the goal of being an analyst. That's the safest and the more sensible goal that you can make. So that can be a medium-term goal. And the long-term goal, maybe you can probably, I don't know, getting into one of the...
Like Arunachal will end up in the top management of the company. So you can take a call on that.
I think for someone with 3-4 years of experience in IT, the safest bet is to continue and say that, because your truck company will still be there, right? They'll come and pick you up. So, for example, as an institute, to place an IT guy who wants to do IT, it won't be that difficult. So long as you stick to the story, I think that is a safer story to have. Okay, so what does it teach in MBA? So this is, I think, I don't know, I did my MBA in 1997 to 1999. I hope what they taught then is what they teach today as well. Right, so basically, if I have to answer that question, I think jokes about if I have to answer the question, there are a lot of things that happens across the world in various industries. So what an MBA does is collects all that in the form of case study and lets you discuss in the classroom and giving you templates to think if such things happen in the future. So basically it gives you templates. So for example, if the case comes, so you have this matrix, that matrix, this analysis, that analysis. So it gives you a sense of how to evaluate, how do you problem solve. One. B is because you have a batch of guys, and if you look at the batch of MBA, so let's say here itself in my panel, there's somebody from the industry, somebody is a fresher, somebody is an engineer, non-engineer, CA, there's a doctor. So in that whole batch, once the case gets discussed, you tend to get different perspective and diverse perspective. So that's the kind of learning that you get in an MBA program. And more importantly, what is that you do in an MBA program is the most important thing in terms of how much you learn. It's not so much about how much they teach, it's so much about how much you learn in an MBA program. Should I go for PGDM course, which is in Bangalore and Hyderabad only? I'm a graduate civil engineer from Thapar University. Mudit, so it basically depends upon what is the kind of goals that you have in your life, right? So my suggestion would be that you convert the call, and once you have the call in hand, then you make the decision. Can someone tell what exactly is taught in MBA schools? I think I've just answered that. Is there any specialized in IT? Of course there is specialized in IT. Yeah, it's largely, basically called systems management, that's what it is called. So it's what would we get a chance to change our preference before a GD interview? Once you, let's say, marked an order, can we change? So no, the answer that I'm getting from the panelists are no, so you're stuck to what you have. Can NMIMS capital students sit for all BFSI companies? It basically depends. So it's on a case-to-case basis. It depends upon. It comes from the company's perspective. So some companies are particular, some companies are not. So some companies may allow only capital market. Yeah. Some company may allow only capital market. Some company will allow only this. So it largely depends upon the company. Okay, so here is another question. I have 3 years and 2 months of IT work experience. This year just started just for NM Bangalore, considering quitting my job in 2 years and trying again for next year. If I quit my job, will the break be very bad, still proper, manageable? If you ask what my advice, right, so if you want my advice, don't quit. Okay. For example, example, there is until it is, let's say you're working for 16 hours every day and you absolutely could not got any time, but still don't quit and sit at home and prepare for it. So it's generally very difficult to explain why you have quit a job. So, anything else? So I'll Tom, like where?
Quitting a job at that with so many other work will be difficult to explain in an interview. So, like Jijo sir said, even I go with it. Don't quit, manage it. You're almost there. That's the reason you're in today's discussion. So you're almost there. So next year work a little more hard. I'm sure you'll crack all the calls.
I have one question to ask all the panelists. So this is so basically what is that you did in terms of preparation, and what is your suggestion that 10 days before the interview? What are the 3-4 things that one must do? So you can start from let's say Ankur and Swati can start off because they are fresh. They remember exactly what it is.
Yeah. Thank you, Jijo. I think the candidate needs to prepare on the current affairs thoroughly. And I think it's a difficult task though, but one needs to pick up that pink daily and needs to read through that. It's a very difficult task, and in 10 days it's difficult to grasp that what's saying, but you get to have a hang of the topics, what the daily discuss. So I think in 10 days you can do this. If you can do this, I think it's a substantial learning that you can do. Apart from that, appearing for few mock GDs and few mock PIs would definitely help you out there in the interview. And just see how you will answer. There are various questions that we've discussed here on this show itself, and I think if they can just analyze how they answer those questions out there in front of the panelists, I think there will be a substantial help to them.
Thanks, Ankur. Swati, what are your thoughts? What is that you did, in fact, specifically?
Yeah, definitely one thing would be you are thorough with the current affairs or any new thing that comes up so recently, because they could also ask you what was the news in yesterday's newspaper or probably in today's newspaper the day you are having your interview. So at least you should know the main headlines and the content in that, if anything important is going on at that point of time. And secondly, just go through your resume, whatever achievements you are mentioning, just be thorough on that. That is like in 10 days time you could at least, you should be doing this.
Yeah. Ekta?
Current affairs, yes, but also one thing that if you belong to a particular state which has seen recent developments in the past 1 year or something, maybe if you're from AP, and then they might ask you about the Telangana issue and your view on that. So that is something they usually do. So be prepared for that. And also, as Swati said, make sure you're very well prepared about whatever you've written in your SOP or your CV. And also prepare and rehearse the questions which you know that they will ask. Tell me about yourself, why MBA, his strengths and weakness. I think that should do.
Yeah, just to summarize, I would say prepare on 3 things. For GD, know about current affairs, and my suggestion will be read views. Not the news, but the views on those issues of people, because that is where you'll get solid GD points direct, which you can talk about. Second, know your CV in and out. It should be mugged to you. You know exactly what you have written, and you should know what is there. So if you are saying that, okay, if I talk about that my hobby is reading, then prepare for it. If you have written a project, then you should know everything about it. If you have written that, okay, I have done some analysis on auto industry, you should be very thorough with that, because CV is the one on which you'll be, grilled. And in third, basic HR questions that tell me something about yourself, your strength, weakness, short-term, long-term goals. Attachment they can mainly, so not in a, I feel that rather than subjects they should prepare on the projects, whatever they have done. They must have mentioned those projects on their CV, the major project, minor project. So you prepare on those projects, because that is, which is something which is directly written there on your CV, so they can ask you.
What else should one carry during the interview? What is that you guys carry?
Nothing. They'll give you everything. CV, SOP, copy of CV and SOP. That's what.
I'll just add on to what everyone mentioned actually right now. See, the reason why we have mentioned that you need to rehearse the questions or at least know basic stuff in there is simple because the difference between a really good candidate and an average or a good candidate is how you structure your thoughts well and how you answer the question that is put across to you. For example, everyone can answer what are your strengths. The difference between a guy who's prepared and rehearsed and the difference between a guy who knows it is that the guy who's rehearsed and prepared, he'll structure it well. The way he'll say it, the structure of the response plus the examples that he can relate in his life will be much better. And that's what will tilt the interview to your benefit, in your side. So, it's very important that you prepare at least the basic questions and some trick questions like why we should not take you in the classroom. So in trick questions like this, you probably blurt out all the actual weaknesses that you have in your life. So go through it. Heading CL, PDP notes, you have a lot of questions which you can actually go back, structure your thoughts on them and prepare yourself for the interview.
So let me what I do now is that the fair amount we covered the kind of question that you have. What I want to now focus on is that in the interview, what is that you want to do? One of the things, compared to some of the interviews that the people are having in IMT Ghaziabad, for example, these are all 10 minutes interview and one is not given an opportunity to actually share they want to do. In NM interview, you definitely have a lot of opportunity to really explain about your candidate and why they should select you. So whatever opportunity that you have, you're looking at element of your story and sharing those. For example, if somebody asks you what are your strengths, don't just say perseverance, but talk about why you believe that is a strength. So you could probably say that so let's say for example, I'm saying my strength is self-discipline. And it is because this strength that consistently my performance is high and so on and so forth. Okay, I've never in my life joined any tuition class or anything. I've always planned my studies really well and I'm deeply motivated and stuff like that.
This is one thing you really need to prepare about because if you mention any of your strengths and then they might ask you to justify and then you have to give a real life situation where you actually, exhibited your strength and come out with really good instances and naturally.
Just, going a little bit off topic, that one more question which I fairly remember from my all interviews, whatever I've given is a situation where nothing was going in your favor and you turned it around. So this is something which I experienced in every single interview or every second interview I asked this question, so maybe a different question which you can prepare on.
There's a question that I can see what sets NMIMS apart from other good colleges in Mumbai. Now I'm going to answer that question if it were like the interview, NMIMS interview, right? So what I believe what a lot of things that sets apart, one is the fact that it is outstanding alumni, right? So there is a lot of contribution that the alumni has done back to the campus. Therefore, that interaction with alumni and college is good. So that is one reason. Second is that it's been consistently attracting the best of the students. Okay, so in that sense, the quality of students. Actually, if you have to look at it, the quality of an MBA program is basically about the quality of students that are there. If it's a case study based discussion program, then the people who are discussing are the students. So that is another thing that sets it apart. So it is at par with you look at the top schools in Mumbai, so for example Bajaj or SP Jain or NITI or IIT Bombay. So you would typically put NMIMS in that league, right? Question is, I have heard that hostel facilities are not good.
Actually, I guess it's more relative hostel facilities because apparently the girls are provided 5-star facilities and the boys are not provided 5-star facilities. So that's the reason probably that question has come up. But I think you need to worry about that once you are through the interview rounds. So
yeah. received, taken, so let me go now. Okay. Okay. One is the other question: how do I tell your weakness? Weakness is basically a certain quality or certain aspect which has always hindered you at least couple of occasions, right? So the one I can say is that obviously you cannot have a character weakness or say a character weakness of, yeah, that is a plain simple rule. You can't say I'm dishonest or I cheat or I don't have empathy or I'm lazy and I don't have integrity or unethical and so on and so forth. So that is about character. What essentially you can talk about is personality aspects or personality traits that you believe that your weakness is. For example, let's say that if you look at my weakness, one of the challenges that I keep facing is that I keep spending a little more when it comes to any marketing expense. So I've always found that I overshoot my budget in my work. So that could be one aspect, one weakness that you can say. Anyone ask what weakness? And Tom, what is the weakness that you said in your interview? You don't remember? Ekta, what is the weakness that you said in the interview?
I think I was pretty honest and I said I'm sensitive. That's what most girls, say, and then even interviewers are now very, wise, and they know that people who say a weakness and then, say that, okay, I'm making sure that I work on it. They know that you're actually making up an answer. So, whenever you say your weakness, as you said, don't be so extreme and say I'm dishonest and I cheat, but say a weakness that you have and then you can work upon it. Like being sensitive might be a positive case in some instances.
Say something which can always be worked upon. That okay, this is not something I can't work on. Maybe some or the other reason I'm carrying it, but I'm improving. So, that should be the direction. So I used to say that I'm a sore loser. When I lose, it shows on my face and I'm not comfortable with that situation, but yeah, maybe I'm improving, and then you fit in some 1-2 example or some good line.
Yeah, for example, I can't take criticism that easily. Okay, so that could be a weakness that one can have. I remember, I don't know whether it will work in 1990, in 2013, the weakness that I actually put in 1996 was that I procrastinate. I actually said I'm lazy. Okay, I did not use the word lazy, I used the word. That was the first time I came to know such a word exists, by the way. So I don't know whether this is applicable in 2013. So another question is, how long? Should one need to be crisp and short, or should one try to explain everything one say in interview? Should be crisp and short. I think you have to be crisp and short, simply because you can't bore that guy. So basically, for example, let's say that one of the things that people, okay, let me take these things. For example, work experience. So when a guy explains work experience, you have to assume that the guy does not know your industry. So you basically explain your work experience. For example, if I am talking about work experience, I need to explain a couple of things. A is that how important that work is for the organization, how great a job I do, what are the kind of people that I manage. So, for example, you would say that let's say, the past 2.5 years of working with this IT company, I'm in this such and such division. Basically, this is what the division does, and I manage a team of 3, and this is the kind of work that I do. And my achievements have been this and this. So you, for example, if the question is tell me about this, it's about 2 minutes, but it is always good to be crisp and clear, rather than go on and on and on with an answer. And crisp does not mean one-liners also. Yeah. If given a chance, what kind of question one can ask to the panelist? Oh, you cannot ask a question to the panelist that you're supposed to find out yourself. So, for example, you cannot ask a question, what are the kind of subjects that we have. So all of the taste of things that you can ask the panelists about his profile. So one second.
NMIMS is coming up with a new campus of world-class standards, so you can always ask when you're planning to move on to the new campus. But 40 of you are there, so please don't repeat the same thing.
Okay. So let me pick more questions here. What are the short-term goals for a person with 2 years experience in power sector? If you have spent 2 years in power sector, your goals can be probably 3. And this answer is for anyone with experience. One is you can be committed to your sector. For example, you want to do something great in power sector and you want to continue in the sector. That is option A. Option B is a little more broader, which is you want to be in the manufacturing sector and probably get into ops or some profile like that. C could be that use your knowledge and get into consulting. So for example, I want to be a consultant, or I can even be, for example, I remember this guy who worked with a manufacturing company about 3-4 years and eventually became an investment banker advising such a kind of client. So you basically will have to decide based on your interest and your profile which is the path that you want to be able to take, and be sure that you'll ask a lot of questions based on that. Can we have a Okay, Smriti, I have been undergoing an on-job training SEL for 4 months, but I have not done any practical work. So, what kind of questions are expected? If you are undergoing training in SEL, you will know basically about the organization. I think one is about your organization, how big your organization is, what is the industry that you work in. One sense, that is one, and then you will be largely treated, I believe, as a fresher. So you will not expect to know more about your job, but at least you should know about HCL and the company, and you should largely be treated as a fresher. So your projects and what you did in your graduation, your decision to choose HCL, why is that you want to leave HCL in 4 months? Why don't you want to spend HCL for 1 or 2 years and then do an MBA? Are you not enjoying your 4 months and stuff like that? So questions like those can come. What are the so let's see. The question is about what should be the answer is for what if you are not selected in any good B school this year. So you basically say the most logical answer. The most logical answer would be that you're going to be very choosy about your business school because your goals are very high, and that can only be achieved by doing from a good B school. So what I'll do is I'll continue with the work experience. And if your work experience, the goal that you mentioned is in line with your work experience, you obviously will say I'll continue with work experience. If your goal that you mentioned is not in line with your work experience, then you also want to mention alternately what are the things that you're going to do in the next 1 year, so that you will. So you're basically saying that okay, I've got the call, I did not make it, so I believe there are certain reasons why I did not make it. What I want to do is in the next 1 year work on those and come back and sit the interview again and apply again. So that is the kind of thing that you will have to say there. There's a lot of questions on this. Anyone has an idea how the 5 marks in work experience given out? They don't disclose. So we don't know. Nobody knows, in fact. We have 45 minutes, so I'll go panelist by panelist, and any last thoughts that they have before we wind up. We can start off with Swati and Ankur. Anything that you will like to sum up, anything you feel that you missed out and you want to add, any question you want to take, please do so.
I think we have discussed ample questions, but I think candidate needs to be focused focused on that day. And one thing I've observed during my interviews is that one needs to have a sound sleep before the interview. So, and moreover, one needs to be abreast with the knowledge, the current affairs. So you must read that day's newspaper, because even I was asked about the current happenings of that day. Apart from that, do use your analytical skills in GD, in case studies, and all the rest.
Swati, would you like to add anything?
I think pretty much all the questions have been covered during this session. We are prepared with the current affairs and the resume and with the basic NDA questions. That should be good enough, and they will do good well from that. That's it.
Okay, I'm an engineer working in IT company. My interest being in business and an IT firm. What can I say? NMIMS doesn't provide MBA in IT. But you have a core MBA, right? So core MBA covers even the system management. And given the fact that a lot of IT professionals are already there, they do get decent placement, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so Ekta?
Adding on to it, I think the most important thing is when you reach, the venue of your GDPI, when you see a classroom filled with 100 students, you tend to get panicky and nervous because, you're competing for the seat along with 100 other students at that day. So I think it's important to, maintain your calm and remain composed and breathe well and not get affected by the other students who are sitting there.
Just one thing, that know yourself well, know what you have done well, and that should be it. So all the very best.
No, I'm just adding on to what everyone has said, rather reiterating what everyone has said. Go through your CV well, know everything what you've written there. Practice a few obvious questions, like tell me something about yourself, fit in few achievements in that, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you bring onto the table, why it shouldn't be taken, and things like that. And once you're prepared for that, I'm sure your confidence will go up. And like everyone said, do read up in the coming days. And all the very best for your interviews.
Thank you, everyone. I'll basically sum up in the sense of what is the sense that I got from the discussion. I'm sure that each one of you have taken away for yourself. One is, for the GD, the three things that all the panelists mentioned. A is, you have to make strong decisions. Don't take middle paths. You have to take strong decisions, and that decision has to be an outcome of a decent analysis of the case study given to you. So that is one. Two is, for the interview, A is, be on the right side of ethics. B is, be very sure about what you've written on SOP. Now you would have written the SOP one night before the submission, and I said, please go read it, and now you'll have to more or less stick on to the story that you've written SOP. So that is one. Two is, whatever you say, whatever you utter in the interview, be sure that there will be more questions on it. So if you're saying something is your hobby, be really prepared of it. If you say that you're interested in something, be ready to talk about it. If you say this is your strength, you have to talk about instances where you believe it was your strength. If you say that this is your career goal, there has to be strong reason as to why you want to be a career goal. So broadly, it is not that they want to grill you, but they will pleasantly grill you, if that is the sense that I get. And let me also tell you this, that there are two kinds of interview. One which is very grilling and one which is very pleasant. Actually, the pleasant interviews are a difficult one to handle, because the interview is expecting you to be in your best self, and whatever answer that you get, what that you give is your best kind of an answer. While in your interview, which is very grilling, you are expected to be psyched out. So you must have the sense that, and all the people who are going to NMIMS interview will not be grilled, right? So everybody is going to have a decent amount of time telling them, explain their candidature. So what you must do is that you must thoroughly prepare and ensure that you are able to tell your story, which is very, very close to the truth. So that's the sense that I would like to share with all of you. So we will take, for example, last one thing, dress codes, and I think that we missed that out. For the girls,
I think formals with blazers is the dress code, but if you don't have a blazer, I think I went without a blazer and just in formals, and just be confident and speak, and then that's it.
Mumbai is actually a bad place to wear blazers. So tie is a necessity, and basic color coordination has to be there. Your socks has to match your trouser, and your belt has to match your shoes, and wear light color shirts, and your tie has to contrast your shirt.
Many people from the industry are very, for guys prefer plain shirts. So because there are people in the industry who are very finicky about lining shirt, etc., etc. So why to take a risk? So prefer plain shirts and a tie, matching tie.
You are either going a light blue plain shirt and a grey trouser, and
invest in a good tie. It will make a lot of difference. Tie is a necessity, and anything beyond that is good. But tie is a necessity. You have to land up in a tie at least.
There are some. We'll pick some last queries. One last query. Will we get a chance to resubmit SOP?
No.
I don't think so. No. Total number of students called for interview. It's about what? About 4,000. 3,000 to 4,000 is the answer that I'm getting here. I'm not too sure about this answer, but 3,000. What is 8 in the ratio? Okay, there is more of this good. Radha says, can we wear salwar kameez?
Prefer western formal salwar. If you don't have one, then a decent salwar kameez will do for girls.
And not the one you wear during wedding. Yeah. So I basically in some of the etiquette class I basically listened to this that your whatever your earring should not be a long one, short. Nothing is seen, but is there. Simple and plain. So that gives a somebody with 6 to 7 months of so somebody with less than 1 year experience is largely treated as a fresher. Largely treated as fresher. So you can go by saying that you'll be. The only question that you will have to face is why is that you want to continue? Why don't want to continue with the company and shift? Okay, so thank you guys. I wish you the very best. I hope that whatever interaction that you had with the NMIMS alumni and students in the campus would have given you a certain perspective. Would have also helped you in terms of structuring and fine-tuning what is that you have to do in the next 10 days. I thank all the panelists to taking the valuable time to come here and help us out. Thank you, Ankur, thank you, Swati, Tom, Aditya, and Ekta. I wish you all the best, guys. So we are signing off now. Yeah, bye.